Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Thursday, the 24th February, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. We're going to get started right away. Let's open up the charts right here. Take a look at what's going on. In Ukraine, you guys know war's breaking out in Ukraine. Russia has attacked Ukraine, and I thought it would take a little bit longer. I figured a few days because I thought they would set up defensive positions in the eastern side of Ukraine, but no, they moved very quickly. And now they're in Chernobyl, and they're fighting in around the nuclear plant in Chernobyl. And it says the potential is rising for greater fallout from the war across Europe. Intense fighting has been reported centered in the Chernobyl area. The Ukrainian authorities are sounding the alarm over potentially disastrous scenarios. I guess what they're worried about is if a bomb were to drop on the old burnout nuclear plant, that it could blow that radioactivity up into the air again, which is a real concern. Another concern that I have is escalation. We know Ukraine right now is surrounded by NATO forces on all sides, all the western sides, western flanks, I should say. Not on all sides. The eastern side is surrounded by Russian forces. Any miscalculations here in this kind of a situation that could see an escalation into other territories around Ukraine, like, could lead to a disastrous situation where this all could escalate out of control, and that's a worry for me. You know that you see, Ukraine's not a NATO member state, and the other countries surrounding Ukraine on the western side of Ukraine are NATO member countries. You know, it's a very tense situation that's happening right now with this war over in Ukraine. But I'm going to tell you guys what, it's had the exact effect upon markets that days before this started, I told you what the effect would be and just what would move and which way it would move in markets. And what's happening, first we're going to take a look at gold. We've seen a meteoric rise up in silver and gold. Silver is now at 24.61. It settled back down just a little bit, but I mean, it made it up like, well, where was it, $25 or whatever. It was, well, it's been bullish for gold and silver, exactly what I said it would be. If you guys watch my show, you know I said it would be bullish for gold and silver. Let's take a look at gold today. Gold's at $19.22. It's up $13.30. Now, I also said that cryptocurrencies would be bearish in this, but this isn't going to last long, guys. Now, we see in the cryptocurrency price is on a bearish slide right now, and it's at 35,760 for Bitcoin. I said it would be bearish. It is. But there's going to be a turnaround coming. We're waiting on the Fed. And so this is creating a buying opportunity into cryptos. It's still a buying opportunity, in my opinion, for gold and silver, because I think they have a long way to run. When people get scared, they run to gold and silver. In other words, if the markets are crashing or whatever, they run to gold and silver as a safe haven asset. We're seeing that safe haven play. But there's an even stronger play for gold and silver that'll come after the Fed changes direction. Perhaps after this war is over. I mean, we could see a play in the that's going to push gold and silver up even higher and faster after. So that gold and silver have been suppressed for a very long time, and people don't think in terms of buying gold and silver as a potential something that's going to make gains or profits. They don't think of it that way, but they better start thinking of it that way, because it's going to be one of the best performing asset classes out there, like going into next year, in the next year, or 2 years, or even 10 years. This is going to be a long bull run. It could last 10 years for gold and silver. And so We're just on the front side of that. Let's take a look now at the Dow Jones, and I told you guys it would head down. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but there is a time to buy into stocks. There is a time when stocks are going to potentially be a performing asset again. And, you know, I'm going to tell you guys what, we're on the front side of a hyperinflation here. And stocks perform awfully well during hyperinflations. But it's priced in the money that's going down the tubes, basically, you know. But still, it performs good. And stocks, you know, are going to have a turnaround when the Fed. And I'm going to tell you something else about them that a lot of people aren't noticing. We got 15% inflation now. The stock market's been going nowhere for basically a year. I mean, it went up 35, 36,000. That was it. And it never went nowhere for a whole year. During that year's time, you lost 15% on the money that stock market is valued in. Dollars. You've lost 15% of purchasing power. That means overall, over the last year, the stock market's lost 15% of its purchasing power, of what you can purchase with the money that's in the stock market. So overvaluations, it's just took 15% of those overvaluations, the fact that the stock market has went nowhere. Now we see the stock market actually going down even more, which increases this effect. And you know, I'm going to tell you guys what, there's a time coming pretty soon when the Fed's going to change directions, change course, and we're going to see the stock market come back up. We're basically in the same situation right now. Exactly the same situation as the beginning of the COVID crisis. Do you remember when stocks went way down, lower, 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 and then all of a sudden they came up with all these stimulus plans and everything else, and that big boom in stocks? How well did those people do that bought in at the bottom and rode it all the way up through all those stimmy packages in the equity market? How good did they do? Well, there's your answer right now, because we're going through the same darn thing. This is a repeat of the situation. So if you can find the bottom, I suppose the people that can find the bottom right now of the stock market can do all right in equities over the next little while. So yeah, I mean it's coming around. There's a time to buy everything. You buy when everybody else is scared and running out the door. You're coming in, laying your money on the table and saying, "I'll take some of that, please." You know, and that's the situation right here. That's what's coming into the markets. You got to watch it and see how low it's going to go. How low is this going to go before she turns? Let's take a look now at crude oil. 97.10. It's down. It's up 5.43%. It's almost $100. And I told you guys that this was one of the things that would go up. This in commodities. In oil. I told you the oil price. Well, this is a commodity. But the oil price would go up. That's one of the things I told you that would go up. Let's take a look at the MOVE index today. 95.15. I'll tell you what my tendency is to think about this war in Ukraine. I don't think it's going to last a really long time, and I think what's going to end up happening in the end is I think there's going to be a pro-Russian government in Ukraine, a government that's that's what I think going to be the end result of it. I don't think this is going to last a real long time, you know, and ultimately. I don't tend to think that they're going to accidentally blow radioactive waste off of Chernobyl, but they're in there, and there is a danger of that, but I don't think it's going to happen. At least I hope not. Anyway, because you know that fine powder, I suppose if they dropped some sort of munitions in there and it get that fine powder up in the air and blew around, it could create, from Chernobyl, it could create, because that stuff's extremely radioactive that in there. You know, there's people that were living in there fairly close in there into that radioactive zones, you know, and stuff. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let's take a look now at the MOVE index. It's 95.15. It's going along sideways today. Now, bonds and rates. We're seeing them buy into bond yields today. We're seeing the yields drop. They're buying. They're scared. Bonds is a safe haven asset. And so what we're seeing is yields falling. And the Fed right now, they were supposed to do their bond purchase, but they put it off until Friday. So they're not in the market purchasing. These are people purchasing these big treasury yields and driving the yields down because because the situation's going. The same reason why they're buying gold, they're buying into these yields, and they're also buying into the dollar right now. What they're not buying? Cryptos. They're not buying cryptos right now. This makes it another buying opportunity. Remember, you got to buy when everybody else is scared to buy. That's when you're buying it, when it's cheap. You buy low and you sell high. That's how you make money. That's how people get rich. Uh, you know, when there's bad sentiment, a little while ago, there's awful bad sentiment surrounding silver and gold. And you remember how cheap it was? Now it's moving up, starting to move up. Well, it's still down low. It's still way undervalued. And oh, it's flying off the shelves, guys. I've been checking the coin stores and stuff online. It's flying off the shelves. It might all disappear. There is that possibility. It might get very hard to get some real physical metal because it's flying off the shelves right now. Unbelievable. Okay, now let's take a look at the DXY, the dollar index, and it's rising way up high, and everybody's running into the dollar. That's the last time you want to run into something, is when everybody else is running into it. That's when you get took. That's when you really lose your money, is when something's really hot and everybody wants it, and you're buying it too. When sentiment's really good, you know, and sentiment's good right now around the dollar. So that's where they're going. You know, a lot of money's went into the dollar to move it up from 95s and 96s into the 97 range. A lot of fear out there in the world right now. I don't think this situation is going to escalate into World War III. I don't think that's going to happen. At least I hope not. I don't think that the radiation is going to spread from Chernobyl. Don't think that's going to happen either. I think that there was a period in time a couple weeks ago where if they had reassured Russia about NATO not well, you know the situation. If they had, and the thing is now is now all of that's in the past, and now I think that NATO membership of Ukraine is something that is definitely not going to happen. Anyway, so there's a big, huge war going on right now. And it just so happened last night, you know, just when the war started, my internet never goes out. Never goes out here. We're very, very seldom goes out, you know. Just when the war started, 5 minutes later after the war started, and I was watching things on the thing, my internet went out. Bonk, gone. And I said, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, it must have been a local outage. But I didn't know that. For all I knew, the internet might have been down for the whole Western world. And it might have, I said to myself, uh-oh, I hope they didn't cut the cables. Now, you know what cables I'm talking about, the big undersea cables that run between Europe and the United States. And I said, that could escalate very quickly. And I said, oh my gosh, I hope that's not what the case. Well, it was just probably a local outage or something that affected my area or whatever. But for a few minutes there, I was very worried because, see, that's a point where when the war is just starting, like, that's a point where it's a danger point of it escalating beyond control very quickly. We live in an age of modern technology where things can escalate out of control in a matter of minutes. It's such a dangerous age because of the speed information can travel at. And they got enough firepower to blow the world to a cinder. And thank you very much. I don't want to see our world blowing to a cinder. But I'll breathe a sigh of relief. I'm going to tell you guys, I'll breathe a sigh of relief when this war is finally concluded. And no war in the history of humanity has ever lasted forever, you know. And I don't think this one's going to last very long. But it's an uneasy time it's creating in the entire world right now. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next episode. Bye-bye.